Welcome to Rise of the Goddess Collective podcast. It's Michelle Julian, your goddess guide. Today's episode is going to be fully packed, but super resourceful because it's really time. It's time for everyone, not just me, but every goddess out there to embrace your uniqueness. Being you is what your soul needs more than ever, more than ever. And I can't repeat that affirmation because that's what it is. As you know, if you've listened to any of my episodes, I am the creator of the Being and Becoming a Goddess Oracle deck, which really, it actually isn't an Oracle deck, but it is because what I learned in birthing this amazing affirmation, inspirational deck is that I, just like you, am the oracle. Okay. I've been told this, but I think I didn't really embrace it until I went through the process of creating this vibrant, inspirational deck. And it's one of the ways that you can work with me, or actually you can just order the deck and play around with it. And I give you over $300 worth of freebies when you do order the deck. So if you want to do that, you can check out my website, Being and Becoming Me. Yes, I'll leave that in the show notes so you can get it. And there's so many other juicy goddess offerings there. And we will be talking later about my new offer, which is oh my God, it's the goddess. It's the goddess. Yes, of course, goddess is in there. Goddess Oracle membership class. And there'll be details, a show link will be in there, and you'll be able to check that out. I am enrolling now for this super juicy. Of course, it's juicy because you know me, it's all about the juicy, right? We need to tap in and tune in to our juicy because we've been programmed to not feel juicy or like a goddess. So whenever we can, we must, like I said, embrace our uniqueness and our being and becoming the goddess version that we know we are already. It's just about activating. And as you always hear me say, your activation is my activation, right? So let's get right into this episode. It's going to be very, very helpful and of course, juicy. And it's all been inspired by my bike ride. My bike ride. Yes, I've had many bike rides in the month of June. And whenever I go on these bike rides, I get these, what I call them is chakra intuitive download. They're thoughts that are stored in my emotional body. And when I move my physical body, that's when they actualize and get activated for me to process and contemplate this information. So it's a visceral, activated, powerful message that has to be shared not only with me for my own personal growth, because yeah, I'm growing, even though I'm in my 60s. Yeah, we're all evolving and growing minute by minute. So understand that we are always undoing, and we have this opportunity to program that goddess energy that's there waiting for us to hear. And for me, that's when I'm on my bike ride. So I just think it's really important, even though I always talk about the goddess, I want you to understand that any pronoun, he, she, her, they, or him, is welcome here in the rise of the Goddess Collective. I think this is probably something that I haven't really emphasized enough. So I want to emphasize this in this episode, that we are all goddesses. And I use the term goddess because a goddess can be that highest version of yourself that you visualized when you were born. And it's about you recognizing that inner child when you were first born, and how you evolved slowly into adulthood and all the obstacles that you have gone through. Because I believe that people that are listening to the podcast called Rise of the Goddess, they are aspiring and they're looking for inspiration to tune in to their own wisdom, because we all have this strength that is available to listen to your wisdom. Now, during this time of upheaval, before the pandemic and during the pandemic, and now post-pandemic, we're in an energy that is still processing about what it is we want to do here on this planet Earth, and how we want to contribute our light, our wisdom in our daily lives, in our businesses, and also in our relationships. And what I want you to be able to know is you have this capacity of this self-awareness, this self-reflection at your disposal. Now, for me, I have practices, and this is one of the components that we're going to cover today here on the podcast, is how do you recognize your own strength that is available to listen to your wisdom. And we're also going to cover why is it important to have a self-awareness practice? Why is it important to have a self-awareness practice to create clarity and energy, right? It's the energy of, this is what I stand for. This is what I am not going to accept anymore. It's knowing your yeses and your nos, right? Because as goddesses, we need to learn to set those boundaries and have them be loving and kind with clarity, because as Brene Brown talks about, and as you know, you've probably looked at my profile. If you haven't, I am a Dare to Lead trained facilitator from Brene Brown. which I adore her and all her books. And I just had the opportunity during the pandemic to take that training. And believe me, it is super helpful. If you ever want to sign up for that, I can give you the link to that. And the coach that I actually did the training with, I can give you her link too. She's fantastic. And I can't say enough about that. But it's just about being curious, right? Are you curious about practices that honor what you are feeling, right? Do you have those practices that can tune in to what it is you're feeling in the moment and how journaling with these feelings can actually help your own self discovery? Now, I started journaling very, very early in my life. You would call it a diary with a little key, with a little lock that made sure that mom didn't read. I don't know if she ever did, but I started very early and I had no idea how helpful that journaling was through my journey as a teenager, going through what teenagers have to go through, and realizing later in life when I had all of these spiraling thoughts just kind of being thrown at me, I just knew that I needed, before I went to bed, I'd take out a notebook, sometimes a fancy notebook, or sometimes it's just a plain notebook. And I would just start writing what was on my mind. And then what would happen is I would start seeing patterns that were repetitive in my thought patterns of programming, of talking about how I needed to lose weight and, how long I had been on this journey of trying to lose weight. And it's just so interesting, even at an early age, I had that programming that I wasn't enough, right? I was obviously comparing myself to other people and never feeling like my body was enough. It wasn't, you know, pretty enough. It wasn't sexy enough. It wasn't, athletic enough. It wasn't, thin enough. Whatever was going on my mind, I knew I didn't like my body. So that was so interesting to me, going back into all of those journals. And by the way, I've actually burned those journals because I have come to this realization that my body is my body and it is beautiful no matter what the scale is telling me, because what my body can do with me and how I feel in my body, like I feel super, super sexy, and my husband would agree with you. And I know that I'm so strong because I can ride my bike like 30 miles. And I actually started doing like mountain biking at 60 plus. And trust me, mountain biking is scary. It's like skiing on moguls if you're a skier. So I have come to realize that it doesn't really matter what the scale says. What matters is how I feel in my body. Do I feel strong? Do I feel capable of living my life the way I want, like riding my bike, going for walks, challenging myself if I want to do something that's like out of the norm, like mountain biking? I decided to do that this year with my husband. And some people would look at me like, what, who are you trying what are you trying to prove? I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm a goddess. And as a goddess, I get to decide how I want to move my body and how I want to strengthen and stretch my capacity of all that I can be for me, not just for me and my own confidence building, right? But also for my grandson. Yes, for my grandson, so I can run after him and bend over and pick him up and have fun with him. So there's motivation there, right? To stay in shape. Stay in shape does not give me a magic number that's on the scale. So let's go back to the questions. The first question is, how do you recognize the strength that is available to you to listen to your own wisdom? Well, I'm going to give you a tip. One of the tips is actually using the being and becoming goddess deck. That is what I use because I created it for me and for you. So today, while preparing for this episode, I shuffled my deck and I picked 3 cards. And the first one, you're going to love the first one. The first one is, isn't that beautiful? Get out of your own way, let go, and receive the guidance for your own personal wisdom from your guides. Okay, let's talk about guides. What is a guide? A guide can be anything. Okay, a guide can be maybe a mentor that you have in your life. Maybe it's someone that you rely on when you need to, discuss things. Like maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your daughter, who knows? But for me, my guide is my highest self. My highest self is always available to me. And it's me getting out of that programming that I don't have enough information to make this decision. Well, yes, you do. You actually do. And I use beautiful inspirational decks like my own. And I also use this other deck by Kyle Gray. It's called The Keepers of Light. And The Keepers of Light is also a beautiful, beautiful deck in reference to giving you your opportunity to hear your wisdom. Because sometimes when you're just so like in your head, you can't access it. It's that higher consciousness access that you need. So that's why these cards, or maybe a friend of yours is just sitting and having tea with you and you start talking about something that you just don't feel like you're making the right decision, and you're second guessing yourself, and you say what you want to say to that person. They're like, oh my God, you always talk about that. You definitely should do that because you've been talking about that since I've known you for 3 years. That happens to me all the time, right? Like a friend will say, oh my God, that's totally something you should do. You've been talking about doing that forever. And you're like really good at that. You're so good at that. You should totally do it. So that's how you can start recognizing and then strengthen this muscle. It's strengthening the muscle of awareness, self-awareness, self-reflection. You can do it in meditation, you can do it when you're riding your bike, you can do it when you're going for a walk, you can do it if you're taking a bubble bath or a shower. You get what I'm talking about. It's about creating the space for you to hear, to listen within, and get out of the ego, because it's not the ego that's giving you this information. It's the version, the non-ego thought, the one that's about being kind, being patient with yourself, giving yourself that self-love, honoring who you are. Because, like I said, it's time to embrace your uniqueness. And let's just keep going with this, because this is the theme. The theme is why have? Why? What's the purpose of having this self-awareness practice? Because you can what? You can create clarity and energy. Yes, you can reset and reframe your energy having this self-care practice to help you be the observer, right? Observing, watching what it is that you're thinking about, and deciding whether or not you need to attach to that or let it go. It's a process. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So this morning, I did some meditation with my husband for about 20 minutes. And what I decided to do is not have this same thought about how I haven't done a particular project that I thought I was going to do and then had changed my mind. And I was kind of going over and over it with my meditation practice. And I thought, okay, I've already talked about that and had a conversation during my meditation about that. I'm letting that go, because perseverating on that thought is not really being helpful to me, is it? Is it being kind to myself? No. Why am I doing that? So that's what self-awareness is. It's like, are you curious about the practice of honoring what you're feeling? Because if you do not honor what you're feeling, then you're not going to be able to nurture yourself and honor yourself of what it is that you need to do for your own compassion, to care for your family, for your children, to show up to work. Because when we start to honor these feelings, and feelings can happen so instantaneously, right? So I can be feeling really overwhelmed about all that's been going on this month. And I can really attach to them to really get me really like almost like enraged. And I can start really getting enraged and tap into those feelings. And I can feel them and I can honor them. And then I can decide what it is that I can do to be part of the change, to make a difference. Maybe I need to sign up. Maybe I need to make a call because I just can't take it anymore. About example, about what's happening with the laws around guns. Maybe it's just been so upheavalish that it almost can take me out into a spiraling, sad, anger, depression. Now, is that going to be helpful for me to go there? Maybe a little bit, but to stay there, how is that being compassionate to myself? How do I take that energy and be the change, right? Have a curiosity of what can I do? Who can I call? Who can I be aligning myself with? Who can I collaborate with to be part of this change, right? That's just one topic. I mean, there's so many other topics that are happening right now. So that's why having a practice of knowing how you're feeling can help you nurture that, honor that. Even maybe you might want to go into, the bathroom and take a shower and just cry, just create that space where you need to shed tears. I know I went through that in the beginning of this month. I had a lot of grief going around me, thinking about my father who's passed away and my brother who's also in heaven. And these angels are looking down at me and they're with me, but I still miss them deeply, deep, deep, deep. And, they both have birthdays and it's Father's Day, and it feels really weird to actually not have my father here or my brother. And I felt that, and I am grieving it as I am here with you. So it's okay to be sad simultaneously, be compassionate and kind to yourself during your grief. Don't be hard on yourself. And you don't want to keep encouraging that feeling that makes you spiral and paralyzes you. So then you don't take any kind of action at all, which is the first action is to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to be the change? How are you going to go out and make things happen if you don't take care of yourself first? So you see where I'm going with this. This is why this being and becoming a goddess Oracle membership class that I've created, this container, it's going to help you tune in and honor yourself so you can strengthen your capacity to how that self-care, that self-love, yourself first, because you're always taking care of everybody else and you're getting bombarded with all of this energy. And so it's just this amazing, juicy opportunity that you'll be able to go into and show up with whatever it is you're feeling. And we together, as your guide, as your mentor, will honor it, will help you honor what it is that you're going through and give you some affirmations that might help you, or maybe there's another thing that could help you, which I have so many juicy goddess tools. So, and one of them you can start doing right away, which is journaling, and it actually helps you with your own self-discovery. So this is what I'm so excited about and so passionate about. And I just really feel that I want to share with you the other um, message, the other download that I received once I got off my bike. My bike ride was about 3 hours yesterday, and then only like probably like a half an hour, 45 minutes today. And I basically knew that I needed to draw another card from the Kyle Gray Keepers of Light Oracle cards. And I picked Hope, this beautiful card, Hope. You can see the light, the yellow light, the pink light, and the lotus in the middle. And it says love and acceptance. What have I been talking about this whole time in this podcast? I can't make this stuff up, okay? This isn't something that I'm just like, this is not really like woo-woo. It's actually real, okay? You know, you wouldn't be listening to me if you didn't believe in something bigger than yourself, okay? Because if you're just relying on yourself, sometimes you're just going to end up going down the wrong road. Let's just say it like that. Doesn't mean that your wisdom doesn't give you the direction of where to go, but as long as it's not driven by the ego, okay? The ego can sometimes get you into trouble. So I just think you need to contemplate what I just said. So hope, love, and acceptance. So what does this card mean? It means basically love is yours. Recognize your divine worth and choose your loving thoughts. We get to choose our loving thoughts. Okay? So understand that hope, this angel from the Kyle Gray deck, is saying hope as an angel is dedicated to promoting the idea that we on earth are loved, cherished, and supported by the kingdom of heaven, or whatever kingdom you believe in. She is about helping us see the light beyond whatever darkness we are in, traveling as part of the Holy Trinity: faith, hope, and clarity. Okay? This card is everything that I've been talking about. This helps us recognize that hope isn't about wishing for something good to happen or help to arrive, but trusting the support is already present. Hope is the twin flame of Archangel Gabrielle. She has a gentle presence, but she's absolutely glorious. She sings sweet harmonies to us, and those songs are waves of love, washing away anything that stands between us in self-love and acceptance. So, self-love and acceptance, that's what a goddess practices, because being and becoming juicy, loving oneself in all the ways, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the ways. I hope you enjoyed this juicy podcast, and I will be sharing all those links with you for the Goddess Oracle membership, which is basically on the wait list. And it's such a magical time. And I am just so excited to have birthed this for you. And you'll be able to receive the Goddess deck and the Goddess activation journal and all the juicy stuff. And enjoy your June and enjoy the summer and have a great day. And remember, your activation is our activation.